Let me start by asking you one question. Can you picture your childhood playground? The one place where you had some of your fondest memories growing up? Can you now picture it covered in plastic pollution? Seeing my playground covered in plastic and seeing it getting worse over the years was the start and trigger to my activism against plastic pollution. That was 11 years ago today. And to join this fight, I was and still am accompanied by my first two playmates, my brothers, Gary and Sam. Yet here I was, 7 years later, letting life carry me away into a comfortable 10-hour day job. Everything was going well, life was easy, but as I was sitting at my desk, one of the only things I could think about was my home island of Bali in Indonesia being filled with plastic. And it became even more striking in 2017 when my two brothers decided to paddle down one of the most polluted rivers in the world, the Citarum River in Indonesia, on 2 plastic bottle kayaks. I was in Munich, Germany, when I saw the most horrendous footage I had ever seen. Imagine a river clogged in plastic, a literal giant moving landfill. I remember FaceTiming my brothers while they were on the river, and that was it. There was no turning point. How was my corporate job doing anything to improve the state of the world? The activist in me knew that I needed to get on the ground and start getting my hands dirty. So I remember going into my boss' office and telling him I quit. And I will forever remember the look on his face when I told him it was to join the fight against plastic pollution, because he didn't quite get it. After all, plastic is so out of sight, out of mind to so many that it has become such a distant problem. But he wished me luck and even offered me the same job in a year's time in case I regretted my decision. But I left very determined and took the first flight back home to Indonesia. So that's when my personal journey against plastic pollution really started. For the past 4 years, I've dedicated my life to fighting this enemy of a material. With my brothers, we launched Make a Change World, our media company. As more and more content was being published on social media, we quickly understood that in order to get as many people's attention and raise awareness about plastic pollution, we needed to come up with crazy projects and use video as a means to reach as many people. We truly believe that no idea is crazy enough to create change. And by crazy, I mean crazy. We even got the Indonesian president's attention. As a result of our videos and the kayaking expedition, President Joko Widodo launched a 7-year campaign to mobilize 7,000 soldiers to clean Indonesia's most polluted waterway. So, expedition after expedition, our mission really became to bring plastic pollution to front-page news. We built rafts out of reclaimed wood to conduct microplastic testing in Indonesia. We went down some of the world's most polluted waterways. And most recently, the youngest of us 3, Sam, lost the short end of the straw, but not a plastic one. He ran 5,000 kilometers across the United States to raise awareness about plastic pollution and engage with as many people along his journey. And who better to talk to you about it than him?
I'm sorry that I can't be with you all today, but I'm so honored and excited to be sharing our story with you all on such an important stage. What we're doing here is really a drop in the bucket, but every small step matters. Before I ran across America, I had never run a marathon in my life. But in order to address this sense of urgency when it comes to plastic pollution, I really believe that we have to do crazy things. And these expeditions are an amazing way to turn heads and to get the conversation started. And if running a marathon a day for 6 months has taught me anything, it's that we have to be bold in what we believe in, and we have to be persistent. I'm out here running in the middle of the rice fields here in Bali, and there's plastic everywhere. And that really shows that we can't give up, and we have to work together.
So as Sam was running across the United States, back home, my other brother, Gary, was knee-deep in the rivers and trying to find, looking for solutions to stop the endless flow of plastic going into our rivers. As probably many of you know, about over 80% of plastic in the ocean comes from our rivers, and Indonesia is the world's second largest polluter to our ocean. So we really wanted to create tangible change. And that's when we started experimenting with trash barriers, and we started our project Sungai Watch, where Sungai means river in Indonesian, and Gary will briefly introduce to you the project.
Hey guys, we're right here in the trenches in the rivers of Bali. This is, one of our very floaters, trash barriers to stop that endless flow of plastic pollution that is going into our ocean. So for the last year, we've developed, designed, and deployed these guys to do just that, to stop the flow. But our dream is way bigger than that. We're looking at every single river in Indonesia, and it is a lot of work. This is a disaster relief effort, but we're hopeful. And if we can do 100 in a year, imagine what we can do in 5 years.
So as you can see from the video, Gary is the very much on-the-ground operational person managing all the aspects of the project. And what is great about working with my brothers is that on top of having the same passion and determination, we also complement each other really well. So in that mix, I bring in a more analytical side to things. So I guess my years in corporate finance ended up being useful. And one of the projects we're, for instance, now working on is the creation of a database on river plastics. What we do is that all of the plastic that we collect from the trash barriers, we record it, categorize it into 15 different types, and use it to fuel very important conversations around plastic pollution. We conduct brand audits and product categories analysis in order to better understand consumption habits and patterns in the communities where we install these barriers. One thing is for sure, Indonesians love their coffee and instant noodles, but for instance, it usually comes in single-use sachet format, which is by far the hardest plastic to upcycle or recycle. We also try to better understand where we can stop the plastic waste more upstream by mapping local supermarkets, convenience stores, the denser residential areas, and illegal landfills, like this one by the side of the road, which is unfortunately a rather common sight in many parts of the island. So for the past year, our barriers have become a symbol of change to start a conversation. We have had very engaging and encouraging conversations with schools, local and regional governments, heads of cultural affairs, which are really important in Bali, and small and larger businesses. We really believe that these barriers are the perfect starting point to fight plastic pollution and to shift how people perceive our rivers. By installing barriers in different villages, the communities can no longer look away from the issue, because these barriers become a daily reminder of how much trash and where our trash ends up in the rivers. And on top of that, we send them monthly reports of how much trash we collected in the river so that they can definitely not look away from the issue, and instead together work towards a realistic action plan to reduce waste in general and reduce the waste that is improperly disposed of. So what started 11 years ago has become a full-time mission to turn our rivers around and stop the flow of plastic entering in the ocean. Since the start of Sungai Watch, which was exactly a year ago today, we have installed 100 trash barriers in 92 rivers, working with 28 different villages, and with an amazing full-time team of 50 people and an ever-growing local group of volunteers, which we call our River Warriors. And to date, we have collected 220,000 kilograms of plastic that was otherwise ocean-bound. So I know there's still a lot of work to be done, but this past year has left me more hopeful than I ever have. This past year has shown me that change is possible, and that together, change can happen at a faster pace and at a much larger scale. What keeps me hopeful is to see some of our team members taking their own battles at heart, such as Pak Newman, one of our project managers, and a high priest in his village, who has made it his mission to convince people to stop using single-wrapped plastic candies in the daily local offerings. What also keeps me hope is to see all of the other communities around Bali trying their own trash barriers and systems and designs and demanding for proper local waste management infrastructure solutions. Some governments are also implementing littering fines for the first time, while others are reinforcing stricter environmental regulations. And we have other regional governments and NGOs on other Indonesian islands, because Indonesia is such a huge country, also starting to approach us and asking us how they can implement our processes and therefore scale at a much larger scale. So change can and will happen. The river cleaning momentum is started, and is well underway. I think people are increasingly aware that individual action can make a difference, but that collective action is even more powerful. So let us restore together our world's rivers, the heartlines of our planet, and let's bring them back to a state where everyone can enjoy them as a playground, safe, joyful, and plastic-free. Thank you very much.